You are listening to the Life Coach School podcast with Brooke Castillo and Russell Brunson.
Welcome to the Life Coach School podcast, where it's all about real clients, real problems, and real coaching. And now, your host, Master Coach Instructor, Brooke Castillo.
What's up, everyone? I am so excited to bring you this bonus podcast. I asked my good friend and my teacher, Russell Brunson, to come on the podcast because I want him to teach you all everything he taught me about business. And he said yes, and he's very busy. So I'm stoked. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Russell.
Heck yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
That's awesome. So let me give you a little bit of background from like my experience with meeting Russell. And I hope it's okay with you. I want to like break it down to like basics, because there's a lot of people, a lot of listeners to the podcast that aren't in business. And I feel like sometimes they've come to the podcast to kind of maybe be introduced to life coaching and how to feel their feelings and thoughts. And like we talk about business a lot and entrepreneurship, but they think, oh, that part doesn't apply to me. Mm-hmm. And so I want to kind of introduce all of our world to them and let them know this could apply to you. This really could be it. So Russell, actually, I started working with Frank Kern, who was one of my coaches for a while. And he told me about Russell and told me I had like how amazing you were and how I needed to study all of your things, which I did immediately and was so excited to find you. Originally, he had told me that I had to sign up for this thing, this company you own. I had to sign up for this software product you have called ClickFunnels. And I had no idea what that meant or why it even mattered. And now it's like such a huge part of my business and such a huge part of my life. So why don't you just give us a brief intro to what ClickFunnels is and who you are?
Yeah. So I am someone who just, I was never a life coach, but I wanted to coach people on what I was good at, right? Initially was wrestling, other things I wanted to do. And so I started learning this whole internet marketing game about 20 years ago now. And back then, this is before we had any kind of website builders or before Facebook, before MySpace, like it was the very beginning of this whole thing. And so we were trying a whole bunch of different things. And eventually we found something that started working. And we didn't have a name for it back then. We called it sales processes or sales, things like that. And eventually like it got coined the term sales funnels, which is just a really simple way to generate leads and to close sales online. And I think it was kind of created for introverts like me who are scared, me and Frank who are scared of talking to people.
Yes.
It was like, we don't want to talk to people. Let's build a website that does all the talking for us. And we'd structure these different sales processes where someone land on a page and there'd be a video and we talk to them. And then we'd click on a button and take them to another page and we ask them another, and we take them through a process. And that's how I got started 20 years ago. And I started selling all sorts of things from DVDs to books to coaching to all sorts of stuff and had a lot of success with it. And then about 10 years ago, I started trying to teach people how to do this stuff and they could conceptually understand like, oh, cool. It makes a lot of sense. And then they're like, how do I do it? And I was like, I don't know. You hire somebody in the Philippines or India to go make you with this thing that you learned about and no one can ever do it. And I met this guy who's a genius. His name's Todd Dickerson. He's my business partner now. And he started looking at all the stuff I was teaching and he's like, I could build software that would do this. And initially it was funny because I'm not a technical person. And he was building these things for me for a while. And he's like, I want to build something that's so simple that you never have to ask me to build a funnel for you again.
Yeah.
And so he built the software that made it really simple where you could put up a page and then someone like me who's not technical could go and I could change the headline or I could drag an image in and I could build these pages really simple. And it was fun because as him and my other partner, Dylan, they were building the software, they would build it, they sent it to me and they're like, hey, and I learned later there was the joke, like if Russell can do it, then anybody in the world can do this. And so they'd send me like, Russell, go build a page. And they'd make me record myself and I'd be like, try to do it and I'd mess up. And it was funny because I'd watch them watching the video of me afterwards and they're like, your mouse is like 2 inches away from the button, you moron. And like, they're just teasing me like crazy. But they knew like, if I couldn't see it, nobody could see it. So they change the color of the button or they move it or whatever. And so we did that back and forth for 5 or 6 months to the point where I was actually launching my very first book. And I remember the very first book, I was like, I'm going to build this funnel myself. And I remember logging into ClickFunnels and I built the entire book funnel by myself with nobody else's help. And that was about the same time ClickFunnels launched. And I was like, this is the way, this is what we need to teach everyone. And so we started sharing the software with people. And it's just a really simple way for anybody to build these things. Like you learn the strategy, like specifically, like if you want to get leads as a life coach, or if you want to sell someone, high-end coach or whatever it is, like there's a strategy to each one of them. But then after you understand the strategy, it's just really simple. Like what are the pages you need to create, in what order, what words are up on each page. And then from there, that's kind of how it works. And so the software just makes it really, really simple for people like me to be able to build cool funnels.
Yeah. And when I first started out, I was building all my own funnels
You
myself.
were the funnel builder.
Yeah. So I was like in ClickFunnels, like figuring it out myself. But what I realized just recently is like, because you and I have been in this world for so long, we use a lot of this terminology and we talk about business in a way that a lot of people cannot understand. I think they nod and pretend like they understand, but like I met someone that was like so dumbfounded by the life coach school and how much money I make and how I don't have any debt and how I just do everything online. And I was trying to break it down for them. And here's what I realized is like, they have no idea what a funnel even means. Yeah. Like they don't understand that. And so I was thinking about this interview with you and I was thinking about bringing you on and how we could like really teach the basics of it. And so I want to kind of go back even further just for a minute and talk to people about what direct response marketing even means. Because I get a lot of people, they come to me and they like, I understand marketing. I understand business. I understand sales. But to me, I always feel like we have the secret, right? We have this secret knowledge that like other people don't have, and it's direct response marketing. So could you just explain like in third grade language to brand new people, like what is direct response marketing and why does it matter? And then we'll talk about how we utilize that for funnels.
Yeah. So what most people think about when they think about marketing, because this is what they teach in marketing classes in school and stuff, is more like branding, right? Like I need to create a brand and a logo and a presence.
A logo. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so people start a business online and they think that's what it is. So they create a big brand, they put it out there and they're like, why is nobody giving me money yet? Right.
Yeah.
What direct response is, it's almost like direct response can build a brand, but it's not branding, right? It's you put a message out into the marketplace, out into the world, and you're trying to get somebody to respond back. Hence the name, direct response. So like I put something out there. So I put an ad out there. Let's say it's my book, right? I put an ad out there, say, hey, get a free copy of my book. Click this link or call this phone number or whatever. And what's cool about it is when you start doing this, you can see like, let's say I spent $100 on this ad and I got 5 phone calls. It means it cost me $20 for each of these calls. Now, did I make at least $20 per call? And if you did, you have a profitable business. If you didn't, you're like, okay, I did something wrong. How can I change the messaging or the headline? And what's crazy, and I didn't believe this when I first got started, but I can have a sales message and just change the headline and it'll double how many people will call this number or click on the thing. And so I can double how much money I make just by changing a headline. Or sometimes a button color taking it from blue to green could increase click-throughs by 30%. And I make 30% more money by changing the color of my button. But the direct response is powerful because everything you do, you put it out there, you see what happens, people respond back, and then you can decide like, was that work? Did I actually make money or not? And if you didn't, you make a change, then you do it again, and you do it again until eventually it starts working. And then you can put more money, you can scale it, right? That's where, for example, like when I launched my book funnel and it was, first it wasn't working, we kept tweaking it and eventually started working. And I was like, okay, now it's working. I'm profitable. Every time I spend money on Facebook, I get more money back. Then it was like, okay, I want to sell 1 million copies of my book. And we just started spending more money, right? Yes. But it's learning how to like get the numbers to work where every dollar I put in advertising, I get at least $1 back. And as soon as you get that, then the game is crazy. That's how you make insane amounts of money. Cause for every dollar you put in, you get 3 back, right? Like, okay, just put in more dollars.
So
but you don't know that unless you know that direct response.
Yeah. I want to be really clear. And this is something like brand new coaches, those of you who are just learning our work, you're just being exposed to like this world of direct response and funnels and online marketing. It's different when you post something on social media. And you get a lot of people to comment on it and you get a lot of views and you get a lot of interaction with it. That is not direct response. Okay. And, it's really interesting to me for like the first 10 years of my business, I didn't even really interact on social media at all. Like I didn't even really have a presence at all. And then people are like, how are you doing this? And this is why direct response is so powerful. You have to get a response. This is the point of your customer where they're actually paying you in some way. They're either paying you by giving you their email address, their time, their energy. It's costing them something. So the difference between putting an ad out there where you get a direct response versus putting a post where you get lots of interaction is the biggest difference. I want to shake people sometimes. The biggest difference of anything. You can build up a huge presence and not make any money. There's no response that is going to be meaningful to you as a business owner. There's a lot of response in terms of commentary and, likes and whatever the things are, follows, but there's not a lot of response. So when I first learned this idea that the way to build a business is to create marketing that gets someone to respond right away, then you'll know if your marketing is working. It seems so basic, like when we break it down like that, but It's so important. So if I put an ad out there, like people say, I think it's a good ad. No, you either know it's a good ad or you don't by the response that you're getting. Period. Okay. So that's like the first concept that I think people have to really understand. We are looking for a response.
Yeah. And it breaks the paradigm because, like, for example, like we just had the Super Bowl recently, and like if you watch all the Super Bowl, like 99% of the ads are all just branding. Like, people are so proud how cool their ads are, but you ask the company, like, how much money they make you? They don't know.
They don't have any idea.
There's like 0.1% of people who actually were smart enough to actually have a direct response. So they'd have an ad and they'd say like, go to this website or scan this QR code or something. So they saw like, did people actually react to this? Did it do what we were trying to do? And those are the only companies that had any kind of direct response. Everyone else is like, oh, we did branding. Hopefully people come and buy from us, but they were probably so drunk watching Super Bowl, they're not going to know it. Versus these people, the few that knew direct response actually got leads or money back. And they know, oh, I spent this much money and I made it back or I didn't, right? And
right. And
that's
so
the problem is like most of us only see the branding stuff. So we think that's good marketing and it's not.
It's not. So when I learned that, I'm like, okay, we need to get a response. And this is good for your customers too, right? Because if they want to respond, it's like they're raising their hand. They're saying, I want more. And then that's what a funnel can do. And a funnel basically is, if you picture like a funnel, like a kitchen funnel, I'm like using my hands. We are on video if you want to come look, but it's like really funnel. Wide at the top and really narrow at the bottom. And so the first part of your funnel is you're kind of reaching a huge niche of people that you're going after. And then you're bringing them through and narrowing them down to people who are actually genuinely interested in signing up for your programs and paying you money. And so a funnel, and what ClickFunnels does, what Russell's company does, is it sets you up so you can reach a customer, but then also take them through a process of learning about you and your product and what you do in a way that is so meaningful, but not only meaningful for the customer, but measurable for you. And that is one of the biggest differences between just having a website, having social media presence, and having ClickFunnels, which is your website, which is basically all of the pages of your website that you can actually measure. So you listen to Russell talked about earlier. He's like, if you're going to pay $1, let's say you're going to put Facebook ads out there and you're going to pay $1 for every person that like sees the ad or clicks on the ad, you have to know, am I going to make that money back later? And I want to kind of break that down in more detail, but I had a friend one time just say to me, like, I don't like funnels. And to me, it's like, you might as well say, I don't like money. I don't like ATM machines. Because I feel like the funnel is kind of you measuring what your customer wants, what's important to them, and what is effective for your customer. It's actually a service to your customer as well as to your business. So can you just talk like in basic terms, like maybe a very basic funnel, what it would include and how you would measure?
Yeah. And I was thinking about a funnel, like a funnel is what you would do if you could talk to each person one-on-one.
Yes.
Right? But ideally we're trying to I'm putting Facebook out to 10,000 people. So I can't talk to all 10,000 people one-on-one. So I put an ad out to 10,000 people, right? And they click on it and they come to a page and there's gonna be a video of me saying like, hey, you clicked on my ad. Like, this is so cool. Like, you must be interested in the topic I was talking about, right? And so you have a chance to interact with that person. And so again, let's say 10,000 people saw the ad. And then from that, 1,000 people clicks. Now I'm having a direct communication with 1,000 people. They're landing on a page. There's a video of me talking to them. And I could be like, hey, this is cool. You're interested in more information about how to start your own life coach school, right? And I've helped so many people do this. And it's exciting. In fact, I want to send you more information about it. If you're interested, put your email address in the form down below. And I'm going to send you an email with a PDF that's going to explain some cool things. And the next page, I got a video. I'm going to show you the next cool thing, right? And
okay, wait, stop, pause for a second. So on that page, if I land on a ClickFunnels page, or I have one as a business owner, how will I know that 10,000 people went there and that 1,000 people, how do I see that in the ClickFunnels?
Yeah, so it's cool because in ClickFunnels, there's a dashboard that shows you all the stats and it looks like a funnel, right? So it's like 10,000 people saw the ad. From that, 1,000 people clicked on the ad and landed on the landing page. From that, 300 people actually gave you their email address, added to your email list, and then they went to the next page in the funnel. And so like every page, there's breakage every page. So each page, there's less and less people. That's why we call the funnel, because it gets smaller and smaller towards the bottom. But then what happens is, let's say the next page, then you have a video, selling your school or your coaching or whatever it is. People land on that page and then they buy or they don't buy. And then maybe you have an upsell. And so you're just taking down this path. And the dashboard will show you exactly like, okay, you spent $1,000 in ads. On page 1, you made $0, but you got 300 people giving the email address. Page 2, you made, $2,000. Page 3, you made $1,000. Page 4, you made $500, whatever the thing might be that you see like, oh, from this ad that I spent, I ended up making $2,500. I spent $1,000. So like, this is a good ad. I should keep running that ad, right? Or I should stop the ad if it didn't work.
I will tell you that this was like the most magical thing to watch happen in my own business is to be able to spend $1,000 on ads, which at the time when I was new, that seemed like so much money.
Yeah.
And somebody I think once asked me, they're like, how much money would you be willing to spend on ads? I'm like, I don't know, $1,000. And it's like, no, it depends on how much money that will get you. And so I spent $1,000 in ads and I made $10,000. And then I realized, how much money am I willing to spend on ads? All of it.
Yeah.
Right? If I can spend $1,000 on ads and get $10,000 back, I'm going to do that all day, every day. And so one of the things so if you have like 3 basic pages that you're taking someone through in a funnel, one of the things that ClickFunnels does, and this is why I wanted to talk to you all about Russell's product, but also the concept of split testing and improving your funnel. Because I think a lot of times we spend $1,000 and make $10,000. We're like, I'm done. Like, this is the greatest thing that could ever happen in the world. And then I got introduced to this concept of split testing that sounds really complicated, but with ClickFunnels, it makes it so easy. Can you talk a little bit about what that is and why it matters?
Yeah. Oh, it's the simplest way to give yourself a raise every day. In fact, I used to have a mantra. I was like, how do I give myself a raise every day? Right. Like, which just sounds like a Brooke thing to say, right? Like, how do I give myself a raise every day? Yeah. So right now, let's say you have a funnel, right? And again, let's say you have 10,000 people see the ad, and that 1,000 hit the landing page, 300 give you their email, and 20 buy, right? So like, we know this is the can I make this better? Is there something I could do to make it so more people come through each step? So what you can do is, let's say you can set up a split test. What happens is 10,000 people see the ad, they click, 1,000 people hit the landing page, but I can take that landing page and I can make 2 versions of it. So I can have one that's got, a headline that says free video about how to start your own life coach school. And the other one can have a headline that says free case study, how one of my students made $1 million a day with a life coach, whatever it is, right? You have 2 versions. The pages are almost identical, but just 2 different headlines. And so what happens is the first person hits page number 1, second person hits page 2, third person hits page 1, then page 2, and goes back and forth and back and forth. And so what happens, you watch that, and over the 1,000 clicks, you start seeing 500 went to each page, and you see, wow, page number 1, 30% of people gave me the email address, but page number 2, 60% did, right? And so like the page was almost identical, just a change in headline, but yet twice as many people to go through. And also you're like, okay, this, now I got twice as many people who see the sales video, which means twice as many sales. And so like you double your income right there. And so then after you run some traffic through that, then you say, okay, this is the new winner. That becomes your new winner. And then you come back the next day, like, how do I get myself a raise today? What else could I test? Maybe a pink headline versus a blue headline. Maybe I'm going to try, and you just go back and forth, and every day you're making little tests and just seeing which one will win. And over time, you can literally double your business. Like you think about if you're a doctor and you're like, I want to double my income. Like what's that? You have to go to another 8 years of medical school to specialize in the things so you can double your income. But in marketing, it's like, if I split test 2 pages and one gets twice the conversion of the other one, I doubled my income.
And then you keep doing that.
It compounds and compounds and compounds to the point where you're making what Brooke's making.
What's so cool about it, first of all, it makes you have the best product you have because you keep testing it again. So you keep trying to improve it. But it also makes the experience so much better for the customer. The customer who's like, people who go through my funnels love it because it's designed to the highest desire of each person coming through. And so it's like, if most people like this thing, then that's what I'm going to show everyone. And so it makes the quality of what you're creating so much better because you're testing it against itself, really. And one of the things I love about ClickFunnels is that sounds so complicated. It sounds like, okay, how do I send half the people to this page and then half the people to that page from the same ad? Because you don't want to have all these different variables. And ClickFunnels just makes it so easy. Like if I'm in ClickFunnels doing that, how do I make it so that happens? Yeah,
you look at the page you have and there's a button that says split test page. You click it and it makes a clone of the page. And now you got both of them. And then you just log into one and change the headline. And then that's it. And then you sit back and just watch and see what happens as the traffic goes through. And then when one of them wins, you hover over, you say pick winner. And it says this one's now the winner. And it hides the other page. And now that's the winner. And then you can start split testing again.
Cool.
So fun.
So cool. And one of the things, for those of you who are already in business, one of the things that's so challenging for so many of us is to make sure our stats are correct and to make sure we understand what's actually happening in each page on each thing. Because a lot of times, if you don't have all your measurable results, you're just like, oh, I'm making money. It's fine. Or I've had students come to me and this is what they'll say and respond for someone that's in ClickFunnels. If I say to you and say, oh, this isn't working.
What's not working?
What's not working?
Yep.
Which page
I have
isn't working?
Yeah, people who I coach will come back. It's not working. I'm like, what's not working? And they're like, well, it just didn't work. I'm like, well, yeah. And what's cool about it is you can look at it. You say, okay, Well, was it the ad? Was it the first page? The second? Because when you see the numbers, it's like, oh, well, the ad actually worked really good. A lot of people clicked on it. And then the first page went good. A lot of people get an email, but then the third page, nobody bought. It's like, oh, well, then something's wrong on the third page. It didn't work. No, just that page. Like, and then you come back and like, how do we fix the page? And I have a really simple framework that I teach people, because if something's not working in your marketing, it's always one of three things. Okay. And this is true if it's the ad, if it's the email, if it's the landing page, like it's either the hook, the story, or the offer. So the hook is like the thing that grabs their attention, right? So that's the headline. It could be what you're wearing. It could be, I've seen some ads you and Christine Morel been making, like the hook of you guys with their crazy, like the hook grabs their attention, right?
Yeah.
And the second thing is the story, where you're telling them your story, right? And like the goal of the story is to increase the perceived value of whatever it is you're going to offer them later, right? And then the third step is you make an offer, which is like, hey, you give me money, I'll give you this thing. And so if something's not working, it's always one of those three things. So I'll look at the pages, I'm like, okay, page 3 is not working. So it's either your hook, your story, your offer. And I'll ask the person, like, which one is it? And they're like, well, the hook's really cool, but I don't really tell my story that good, or I didn't have a story on there. Or hook's good, the story's good, but maybe my offer is too expensive. Yeah, let's try a different offer. Like instead of offering 5 coaching sessions for $10,000, let's offer 5 coaching sessions for $500. Like, let's change the offer and tweak it. And you just make a couple of tweaks and changes until it works. And then you're like, okay, now it starts working. But it's just playing that game like a scientist, almost, just like, what's working, what's not working, what can I tweak and change until it starts working.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the most important things that like messaging I could give to any of our students is your first funnel probably won't work. And you won't know why it's not working if you don't have all the stats like ClickFunnels gives you so beautifully, right? Because if you look at, okay, I spent $1,000 an ad, nobody bought, but you don't know why. If you go back and look at all your stats, you'll be like, well, the ad was terrible, or the landing page was terrible, or the offer was terrible. Then you're able to know what exactly to fix instead of, when you first approach a business, especially brand new business owners, your brain is freaked out and it wants to convince you that this is a terrible idea. It's like, this is you shouldn't do this, right? And if you can have vague problems, your brain will be convinced. But with a program like ClickFunnels, there's nothing vague about it. It's all very specific, very detailed. This is working. This isn't. So
can I like it?
Yeah, please.
Because I love your frameworks, right? And like the model framework, right? And you go through, and I just pulled it up to make sure I don't mess it up. You got circumstances, thoughts, feeling, action, results. Like if you have a coaching client and you're working through somebody, like the same thing, you're looking through the process, like, oh, like their feelings are messed up, or their or whatever the piece is. It's the same to the funnel. Like circumstances is my ad, thoughts, my landing page. It's like I'm looking at where are they actually stuck at, and then you address that and you fix that and tweak that, right? It's the same concept. It's just most of you people you have, or they're coaching through you, are like they're doing that with people all the time. Same thing, you're doing it with people, but you're doing it with people at scale, right? Because you're having 1,000 people go through this process. Like, what was the piece that wasn't working? What do we tweak and change to get them to be able to go to the next page and get more people to go through the process?
Yeah. The thing that I am the most puzzled by with especially my friends, Russell, I don't know if you have the same thing too, but like my closest friends, they're just like, I just don't like funnels. And I'm like, how? First of all, that hurts my feelings that you even would say that, because like I said, it's like, I don't like ATM machines, but there's some like resistance to doing it because it feels complicated. And that's why I think it's so important. And this is why we talked about this with some of your students too. It's like, I think it's so important for each of us as business owners to truly understand direct response marketing and understand how a funnel works. And that is something that I learned from you, because not only do you have the software that makes it so easy to do, but you have all the materials to teach us how to utilize the software, the marketing, the ideas, the concepts, writing copy, what to put on all of those pages in order to create the result, which is doing our service in the world.
Yeah.
Right. And a funnel really is letting people know that you can actually help them.
Yeah. It's interesting because, I have a really unique opportunity where we have 100,000 plus customers use our platform. So we see what's working and not working, all that sorts of stuff. And so that's kind of one of my things, is coming back and like, I show people like, this is stuff that's working in real time today in today's market, and things are always evolving and shifting. And so we're trying to always share those things. But I agree with you. There's people that for some reason they have in their mind, like, oh, I don't like funnels because of blank. And they have a reason. And sometimes it's because of me, like, oh, Russell talks too fast, or, it's bro marketing, or there's always like these reasons people throw out there. It's like, but like you said, like it all comes down to like, do you like money or not? Because this isn't something we made up. This is literally being tested. ClickFunnels platform processes like $2 to $3 billion a year of all of our customers. So it's not like, oh, Russell made this thing and maybe it works. It's like, no, I have so much data. Like I know exactly what works. I'm not guessing at this point. Like we know it works. So it's like, if you want something that works, like you can call it something different, call it flowers if you want, or I don't know, call it, slippery slides, where like, you don't like funnels, but it's the thing that makes money. And it's been tested and proven over. And like when we launched ClickFunnels a decade ago, it wasn't proven. Like there were a bunch of underground people like me and Frank Kern and a couple other people who were doing it, but it wasn't a proven thing. Where today, a decade later, we have more data than anybody. Like this is the way. Your audience are coaches, right? They're helping people. Like if you really believe in your message, you really believe in your skill set, like you need to give yourself every opportunity to be able to get those people, right? Because right now they are fighting against a whole bunch of like so much distraction. There's so many people hitting them up on social and email and all sorts of places. And if you believe in your message, right, you have a moral obligation to cut through all of that to get to them, right? I had someone at church yesterday, like, hey, I met you the other day at church and then, I heard your name. And ever since then, I see your ads on every platform, every single, and like, I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm like, at the same time, it's like, I spend a lot of my ads because I know that everyone else is competing for their attention as well. And like, I believe in my message. I believe what I'm doing. So I'm going to put forth the effort to make sure I get out there. So funnels are the greatest thing in the world. Like I'm going to do them. If you tell me tomorrow that like infomercials are out converting funnels, I will shift to infomercials. If you like direct mail is the key, I will do direct mail. Like I don't care about whether I like something or not. I care, does it get me customers that I can serve? Because I care about my calling and my mission, and that's the number one. And so if funnels are the greatest things in sliced bread, and they are, then
they really are. They are the best things.
There's my Russell rant.
It's so important to me. And just, I talk a lot about like spending money to invest in your business. And I think it's important. I think a lot of times people think what I'm saying is spend a bunch of money on ads and see what happens. And that's one of the things that funnels kind of enables us to do, where we don't have to go into debt and then hope that we make our money back. Is every dollar that we spend, we measure it in real time to see if it's working. And that's why when it does work, we just turn that faucet on and we can grow. Like I had a year where I went from 5 million to 17 million in 1 year. And that was the year I decided to switch from break-even acquisition to aggressive acquisition. And I just want to talk about that briefly, because I know a lot of people want to grow their companies, but they're afraid to spend money, and they should be, because you don't want to just go and spend a bunch of money that you're not measuring the results on. And so when I was able to see if I spend $1, I can make $10. As long as every dollar I spend, I'm making $10, I'm going to spend as much money as I possibly can. And that year I did. I spent as much money as I possibly could. I had enough cash flow up front where I could spend as much money, and we literally couldn't keep up with the amount of growth. And I think that's the secret of direct response and measuring your results through a program like ClickFunnels. And that's our unique advantage over all these other companies, because a lot of people will say to me, how do you make $50 million as just a woman life coach? I'm like, this is how we do it.
This is the way.
For sure. And to like look at someone like you, and I listened to your podcast for so many years where you talked about not being in debt and not having any venture capital, not having other people come in and support that. Like that was so unheard of. It was like a whole world I didn't even know about. And all it took was for me to learn this software program that you make so easy to learn. Like, I had to learn WordPress, which was harder, right? Back in the day.
So much harder.
So it's like, if you could learn this one thing, how to build a funnel and then how to measure it, which basically ClickFunnels does for you, and what those numbers mean and how to constantly improve your funnel, there is no amount of growth that you can't have, which is insane to me.
It's so much fun. And I think I want to walk you through the process, because like it is really simple when you do it the right way, right? I was the same way when I first got started. It's like, well, how much do I invest in advertising? And I didn't know, and I was scared. And so like I didn't buy ads. I didn't buy ads for almost a decade of my business because I was so much anxiety.
Yeah.
And I remember I finally figured out something. And this is like with the formula I work with all my new people when they come in, is I figure out like, what is the thing you're selling, right? So let's say I could be selling $1,000 course, or maybe it's a $500 coaching package, or whatever I'm selling. Let's just say for numbers, say it's a $500 coaching package, right? So I know I'm going to sell that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a funnel the best I can possibly do. And then I'm going to spend $500, same that I will make if I can get just one person to buy. I'm going to risk that much money to see if I can get one person to buy. So I'll take $500, I'll put that in ads, and I'll run it through the funnel. I'll see what happens, and I'll see how many people clicked, how many people gave me the email, how many landed on the page, how many, if I got on the phone with somebody, what happened. And when all said and done, if I made one sell from that, and that's the goal, right? And if I make one sell, it's like, cool, I broke even. I put $500 in, I made $500. I didn't lose any money, but like it worked, right? And then from there, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to make some tweaks and some tests, and I'm going to take another $500. I'm going to spend it and put it through what happens. And maybe the second time you spend $500 and you make 2 sales. Now it's like, I spent 500, I made 1,000. Like that's really good. So now I'm going to I'm going to spend another 500 and see if that happens another week in a row. I do it next week. It's like spend 500 and made 1,000 again. Okay, now I'm going to spend 1,000 and see what happens. So next week I do 1,000, and if it comes back and I make 2,000, it's like, oh, this is still working. And then I slowly kind of incrementally keep growing it that way. And And like, when you understand that, it's like, what did you risk? You risk, worst case scenario, you risk $500, which is, let's say you spend that first $500
and you don't make
nobody
anything,
bought.
yeah.
It's like, okay, I lost $500. That's okay. I'm going to make some tweaks and changes. I'm going to try it again and see if I can get my money back from one sell. And I try that again. And then eventually, after 2 or 3 times, usually you'll get that. And then 2 or 3 times you start getting profitable. And then eventually it's like, it's really profitable. And then you go from, you went from here to here very, very quickly, because you knew you're putting $1 an ad in, you're getting 17 back out. Now it's just math.
And like, if you think about this, everyone, like, think about how crazy this is. Like, if we were just even like 50 years ago, okay, it would be like the only way we could do this. Let's say we wanted to do a Super Bowl ad. What were they? $7 million. You're like, this ad is amazing. I think this is the ad. I think this is so great. I think it's so good. And you put it out there and it flops. You're out $7 million. It's like, to test an ad now, to start a business now, like the risk is so, and we're like afraid to spend any money. But it's like, are you willing to invest enough just to see what works and to be able to split test things and constantly improve them? I just feel like, for me, it feels like I have the secret to the universe. It feels like such a privilege to be able to do that on such a small scale. Or, I started very small when I did ads, and now I spend hundreds of thousands a month. People say that, how can you spend $200,000, $300,000 a month on ads? People will say that to me. And I'm like, I make 4 million from that. Right? If I can spend 200,000 and make 4 million, that's how you have to think about it. And the way that you do that in a calculated way is by using funnels and by measuring them.
Yeah. And you didn't go to hundreds of thousands in day one, right? It's this progress where it's like, you're not just, like, again, Super Bowl ad, you're gambling $7 million. Here you're gambling 500. Then it worked.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to gamble 1,000. I'm going to gamble 1,500. And eventually someday you wake up and you're spending $1 million a month, but it doesn't matter because you got it all working along the way, right?
Yeah.
And then at that point, that's when the numbers get crazy. So
that sounds insane, spending $1 million a month. But I remember
the very first month we did that, I was so stressed out, but then again, it came back like fourfold. You're like, okay, we should do that again.
It's so crazy. I was just studying this other company. It's a therapy company where they sell like an app for therapy. And they spent $100 million on ads last year, $100 million. None of them direct response. And so, and the company made $400 million. So I was like, oh, that's cool, right? I'm obviously very profitable company, makes so much sense. But I wonder in my mind, like, if they took that 100 million and it was all direct response. Like, think about this. In order to spend 100 million on ads that are untested and non-direct response, you have to have venture capital. Yeah. You have to have someone that's willing to just lose that money.
Hope for the best.
Lose that money. Cause like, oh, that ad didn't work. There's a couple million. It's like insane. So I think this is like, for me, one of the most important things, just to kind of back up here, is to teach women, especially, that we can make wealth on our own terms, in our own ways, if we learn the right skill sets. And I think learning how to create and measure funnels is one of the most important skill sets any of us can learn. In addition to managing your mind, right? And using the model and managing your mind, learning how to do direct response marketing and to scale direct response marketing. If you have those two things together, the possibilities really are endless. And here's the other thing that's so cool. And this, I talk about strategic byproducts a lot. Like, I have learned how to grow a life coaching business, which is amazing. But most importantly, I've learned how to create funnels. And I can apply that to any business that I want. It makes me feel, I'm curious what you think about this. It makes me feel incredibly powerful.
Oh, yeah. And we were talking before we started recording this, like, I tried for a long time to focus on one business. And I did. ClickFunnels, like focus. But then last like 2 years, about the time COVID hit, I was like, I have the superpower. I could touch anything and like the Midas touch and turn it to gold. So I bought a dozen companies, and it's just the same thing. It's like, you buy a company that's doing okay, but not great. And it's like, apply a funnel to it and boom, watch it explode. As you know, we just bought a ladies' weight loss business that it was going out of business. We bought it. Launched a funnel. In fact, today is the day number 1 where the challenge funnel is going live. We supplied one funnel to it. We launched it and it's growing like crazy. And then in a month now, we'll launch a second funnel, and we just keep slowly adding these funnels on. But it's like, when you learn the skill set, you have the Midas touch, right? There's the story of King Midas, anything you touch turned to gold. Like, you can do that. You can go into any business and be like, hey, I want to do a funnel for you. And you can do it. That's how I, like, initially when I started ClickFunnels, I built my own book funnel. And I was like, I want to get to know all of the people. Like, I want to connect. I want to network with all the best in the world. And so about that time, Tony Robbins was launching his book. And I was like, I have something to offer him. I know how to build a book funnel. So I like annoyed him till I was like, Tony, I'll build a book funnel for free. And then all of a sudden I got responded back, and he's like, sure. So I built one for him. I built one for Neil Strauss. I built one for Dave Asprey. I started building book funnels for all these people. I did it for free just to get to know them and then open up all these doors. And like, when you learn the skill set, every business needs it. And so you can use it for so many different things because you have the ability to go into a business and we call them rainmakers and know how to make it rain. You can walk in and be like, oh, you've got a cool coaching business or a cool software company or supplements. Let me build a funnel for you and we can scale it and blow it up for you. So it becomes a huge opportunity when you start learning the skill set.
It makes me feel like such a powerful businesswoman to understand this skill set. And I think because you can do it with very little money down, like without having to risk a lot of money. And so I'll say all the time, one of the reasons why I feel so powerful is I know someone could come and take all my money and all my success and I could just rebuild it again because of the skill set. And so I feel really powerful about teaching this. I've signed up for every single thing that you've ever done, including $250,000 mastermind. I believe in every
Brooke
single
is in my highest level mastermind. So
right. Highest level. Everything you teach has talk about turned into gold. Everything I've learned from you that I've applied has made me so much money. And so one of the things I've been talking about with my CEO is instead of me trying to teach all this stuff, what if I brought in like the pros to like teach it to my people? And so I had asked you, like, will you teach life coaches how to do funnels? And so we decided to do a webinar together. We're going to do, and I want to invite everyone. We're going to offer it for free, right?
Yep.
It's totally for free. We're going to do it on March 2nd. You can sign up for the webinar. I'm going to let you talk a little bit about the webinar and what we're going to teach on there, but it's at funnelsforlifecoaches.com. And that's FUNNELS, funnels, FOR for lifecoaches.com. You can sign up there for free. And Russell is going to teach us, specifically life coaches, but anyone can come and learn. If any business that you're in, you can come and learn about funnels. And he's going to give us our very own template for a life coach funnel in there. But can you talk about what we'll learn on the webinar, why we should come?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously we could talk about funnels forever, but like I wanted to make something very specific for your audience where it's like, I am a life coach. I want to become a life coach, or I'm trying to, whatever it is, like what would be the funnel to use? And so I'm going to show you a couple of different funnels, but I'll show you like, if I was starting over today and I was in your role and this is what we're trying to do, this is the exact funnel I would use. And it's simple. It's a 3-page funnel. We'll walk through what happens on each page, how to do it. And it's like one of the most simple and most profitable funnels in the world. So I'm going to show you guys that. We'll give you templates so you can take it. You can click a button. It'll put it inside your account and you can edit it, throw your video, your picture in. By the time it's done, you'll like every single one of you guys, if you come on the webinar, within an hour of being off the webinar, you could literally have your first like coaching funnel live. And you could post on Facebook and you start getting clients like, within an hour or two after the thing's done, you could do that for sure. And so we'll walk you through the process. We'll show you how it works. And I'll show you other funnels that coaches can use because, there's not just one, there's 3 or 4 that work really, really well to anyone who's coaching or selling information products or things like that. So I'll walk you through some of them and I'll log into ClickFunnels. I'll show you how simple it is because sometimes we get overwhelmed by the technology. So I'll show you like, literally is this easy. You just drag and drop and edit and we'll just make it really simple and then give you guys a pre-built funnel that's done. You just got to swap out with your name, the market that you're in, the niche that you're in, plug in a video of you, and then it can literally be generating you leads by the time within an hour or two after the webinar is done, you can be using it. So it'll be fun. It'll be a workshop where we're actually getting some stuff done and giving you guys the tools you guys need to be successful with funnels.
And listen, I already hear some of your objections and I want to be strong with each of you. So one of you right now is thinking, well, I'm not technical. That's going to be too complicated and too hard for me. So what would you say to that?
2 things. Number 1 is it really is simple. And you've done it before, Brooke. I've done it. Like it's simple enough you could. But number 2 is like, if you're really not, you don't even want to, I understand that. Like bring a spouse or a business partner or literally bring one of your teenage kids. My kids, I got 5 kids. 3 of them now have built funnels. One's 12 and I have twins that are 17. They all can build funnels. We have an award, our big award we do every year. I think we've had 6 teenagers win. So if you don't want to do it, bring a teenager. If you don't have a teenager, borrow one from a friend. Like bring a teenager and they can be your funnel builder. And you pay them a couple $100 and they can do the whole thing for you. So if you're not technical, again, number 1, it's so simple. You don't have to be technical. Number 2, bring somebody and we can help them. Like you can be the visionary who's going to be doing your side of the business and have someone who can do that part for you if you want it. And again, simple enough that a teenager can do it.
I think a lot of times your brain will like turn off a little bit. You're like, oh, I just want to outsource that. I would just want to find a company that can do funnels for me. Now listen, Russell certifies people in building funnels. So you can go to his organization and find someone that's trained to build funnels and have them build funnels for you. But I still think it is very important for you to understand conceptually what a funnel is and how it works. So even if you have someone else building your funnel, they're not going to care about it as much. There's no way they should care about it as much as you do. So understanding, like coming to this webinar and just understanding the process and how it works, like even if your brain wants to be confused about it for just a minute, that's fine. one of those things, the more you're exposed to it, the more you understand it, I think the more successful you can ultimately be, even if you're not the one. Like, I don't build funnels myself anymore, but I understand it because I did it that first time. So I want to encourage all of you just to come, even just as an observer, I guess.
And then even because you know what questions to ask, right?
Yes.
Like some of the funnel, like, is it working? Like, I don't know, like you can be like, which page, like what's conversion on page 1, page 2? So you can ask the right questions so you can tell them what to fix. Otherwise you're like, it didn't work. I don't know. Like, no, you need to know like why it didn't work. So
the other thing I want to say about this too is I think a lot of people will say, I'm a life coach, I'm not the marketing person. And listen, I am a life coach first and foremost. That is my love. That is my art. That's my passion. But I will tell you, the combination of being a life coach and a marketer is amazing. And we can do hard things. So if you constantly are telling yourself, that's not for me, that's complicated, that's technical, I don't know how to do that, that will always be true for you. But if you are willing to just expose yourself to this, I feel like Russell is one of the best teachers in the industry to simplify. Make something super complicated. He's studied all the people and he simplifies it in such a way that makes it digestible, but it's still learning something new, which is good for your brain, by the way. So March 2nd, I'm going to be there. Russell's going to be there. We're going to teach you about funnels. We're going to go through funnels for life coaches. I can talk about some of my examples. I'm sure that Russell will tell us what's working right now because he has visibility on what everyone's responding to, because it all changes, right? It all evolves as we go through it.
Yeah. I'm excited. I think you guys are going to love it. And like I said, it'll be simple, it'll be easy, and you'll leave with something that can literally start getting you guys leads the same day. And so it'll be fun. And like, I just want to address what you just said. Like, I always tell people, like, when you become as passionate about marketing the thing you love as you are about the thing you love, then the thing you love it'll become a big thing, right?
Yes.
Like, I have so many friends who, like, they're so passionate. They wrote a book that they love. They put their heart and their soul into it, but they don't know marketing. And so the book sits on a shelf. They sell 100 copies in their entire lifetime. But it's like, if you really love that thing, you got to become obsessed with the marketing of that thing, because that's what gives this thing life, right? That's how I can sell 1 million copies of my book, because I'm obsessed with the marketing of the book just as much as I am with the book. And so, like, when you guys start understanding that and matching that, then it's like you learning marketing is like amplifying the thing that you really love the most. And so, like, looking at it through that lens makes it really exciting. So.
I love it. That's so well said. Russell, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talking to all the people about business and how to make money and how to serve all the people. And I'm so excited for March 2nd. Go to funnelsforlifecoaches.com, sign up for our webinar, and we will see you live March 2nd. Thank you, Russell.
Thanks, Brooke.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, if you enjoy listening to this podcast, you have to come check out Self-Coaching Scholars. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and we apply it. We take it to the next level and we study it. Join me over at thelifecoachschool.com/join. Make sure you type in the lifecoachschool.com/join. I'd love to have you join me in Self-Coaching Scholars. See you there.